Well, good afternoon, everybody. I would like to thank you all for spending your day at the Ohio Family Engagement Leadership Summit. While we hope you take some knowledge from today and apply it in your work tomorrow. The learning doesn't stop here. Be sure to be on the lookout for emails from the Ohio Statewide Family Engagement Center for follow-up opportunities to the summit. To ensure that we have met your needs and follow up appropriately, please take our survey. I will send the link soon. And thank you again for attending today and staying connected. I wanted you to join us at this professional learning meant to take family school community partnership to the next level. My name is Alanis de la Cruz Perez, and I will be this session's moderator. This is session 19 and is Ohio's Parents Mentor Project, facilitating partnership between families and schools for students with disabilities. If you have any questions, concerns, or technical issues, please message me privately in the chat. To ensure that all of you get the most out of today, we ask that all participants turn off their webcams and microphones. If you have any questions for the presenter, please use the chat feature and I will pass them along at an appropriate time. You can also join us in the conversation on Twitter and be sure to use the hashtag OHSummit23 to share your thoughts. And now we may begin.
Hi, go ahead and advance the slide, please. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for staying with us to the last session of the day, and welcome to our presentation, Ohio's Parent Mentor Project, facilitating partnerships between families and schools for students with disabilities. My name is Lindsay Havey. If you haven't seen in the chat already, we'd love to know who is with us today and what your thoughts are so far about your learning at the summit. So please put that in the chat. You're also welcome to engage with us. We'll be monitoring the chat throughout. So please feel free to drop any questions, reactions, or comments that you have as we go. Let's go to the next slide, please. So while everyone's taking a moment to respond to the question in the chat about where you're from and how you're doing, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. As I said, my name is Lindsay Havey. I'm an education program specialist at the Ohio Department of Education in the Office for Exceptional Children, and I'm so happy to serve as the program consultant for the Parent Mentor Project. I'm joined today by Dr. Gabriel Johnson, Beth Carter, and Teresa Karsnak. My co-presenters are going to share a bit more about their roles when we get to their parts of the presentation. But before we get into today's learning objectives, I want to hand it over to Teresa to help us get into the right frame of mind and really just set the stage for the rest of this presentation. Teresa?
Thanks, Lindsay. I just want you to take a minute to think of a time when you were in a meeting, a social setting, or in a group of people and you were not quite sure what was going on. You don't know most of the people, but you know you need to join them. You sense you are walking into a conversation that has already begun and are not sure of the topic or your role in the group. How do you feel? Are you feeling overwhelmed, awkward, maybe even angry? Are you unsure of your ability to add something meaningful to the conversation? Do you try to join the discussion, or do you stand back and wait until someone acknowledges you? This situation can be exactly how a parent feels in an IEP or school meeting. They may feel outnumbered, may not know the special education acronyms, and are not sure of their role in the meeting. They may be nervous, upset, or anxious. They know they're there to support their child, but they may not know how to do it. Parent mentors help ease the stress and uncertainty by being the support person that a parent needs. We guide parents through the special education process, let them know what to expect in meetings, and we'll work with parents so they feel like a valued member of their child's team. Next slide, please.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for setting us up. I'm sure all of us, or many of us, have either been in that type of meeting, either as a parent or as a professional. So thank you for laying that out for us. So today's learning objectives, we hope that as attendees, after being in our session today, you'll be able to explain what a parent mentor is, Teresa just gave us a little bit of a tease on that and what type of support they provide to families and school districts. In addition, you should also be able to formulate goals and action steps to provide parent-to-parent supports within your own educational setting. Next slide. Okay, so let's talk about what a parent mentor is. Parent mentors are hired to work within a designated school district or educational service center area. They provide free support and resources to families of children with disabilities and to school staff members. They are themselves parents of a child with a disability, so they're truly providing parent-to-parent support. And Teresa and Beth are going to describe that in much more detail later in this session. Some of their roles include attending IEP meetings with families, providing information and resources around topics like rights and responsibilities of families and students, around important transitions, around literacy. Parent mentors also host information sessions and share updated information about special education. This often happens via a listserv, a website, or a social media account. As you'll hear from Beth and Teresa, many times their job is to listen and be able to support the family in just thinking through what they want their next steps to be. As you can imagine, much of their time is spent in communication with families and educators. Connecting families, schools, and communities by providing links to local services and organizations that support students with disabilities, as well as those that support the needs of families, is a critical component of being a parent mentor. Having a strong understanding of those local level supports means that they can make referrals and recommendations to families and schools. And speaking of schools, I would be remiss if I didn't also emphasize that parent mentors also are supporting schools. You'll hear a lot more about this again from Beth and Teresa, but I'll say that schools benefit from their support to parents in terms of things like smoother conversations, more productive meetings. But also parent mentors bring that parent perspective to the district or educational service center, and they often serve on committees or leadership teams to really ensure that parent voice is a part of decision-making at that district or educational service center. All of this connectivity and collaboration leads to the best possible outcomes for students, which is the most important impact of this program. Next slide, please. So you may be wondering where parent mentors are located in Ohio. I'm putting a link in the chat. And as you can see on this map here, there's many orange circles with white stars in them. And each star represents a school district in Ohio supported by a parent mentor. Although not the focus of today's presentation, the white dots with blue around the edge represent regional areas that are supported by Ohio's Parent Training and Information Center, the Ohio Coalition for Education with Children with Disabilities. This map is searchable by school district at the website that I just popped into the chat. So you can, a parent or anyone can come to this map and see who the parent mentor is that is associated with that district. The Ohio Department of Education currently funds 84 parent mentor project locations through annual grant funding. There are also districts in Ohio that choose to fund their own parent mentor. In all, we are proud to be at just at 100 parent mentors in Ohio. We at the Ohio Department of Education have a contract with the Ohio State University Center on Education and Training for Employment, where Dr. Johnson is at, to provide high-quality professional development, including a community of practice, as well as oversight support to parent mentors. So what this means is that we feel confident that parent mentors are providing up-to-date and accurate information in their interactions, both with educators and with families. So Dr. Johnson is going to share more about this aspect of the program next. And I'll just say, if you are in a district or an educational service center, or if you're a parent and you're interested in starting a program, you're welcome to contact me for more information. I'm happy to share out a copy of the parent mentor scope of work, or just to chat about what options may be based on your role. So I will put my information in the chat, and I'll turn it over now to Dr. Gabriel Johnson.
Hello, everyone. That was such a great setup, Lindsay. So I feel like I don't have to say too much. No, I'm just kidding. So as a program director for the Ohio Parent Mentor Project, we really look at our role in a few different ways. So I'll start with kind of a high-level overview on this slide, and then the next one I'll give you more examples and some concrete information about what we do for the parent mentors. So like Lindsay said, we do provide oversight. Myself and my team are housed at the Center on Education and Training for Employment within the College of Education and Human Ecology at Ohio State. And so our goal and vision for our oversight is really to be efficient, goal-oriented, and provide comprehensive supports for all parent mentors and also their district representatives who serve as like in a supervisory role for the parent mentors. And so one of the huge buckets that we do mainly is this professional development component. And so we're really looking to enhance the knowledge and competency on the key components of general and special education. Special education is typically our main conversation, and it's what we are learning about and growing with. However, parent mentors do serve a variety of families going through all different aspects of their educational experience. So we do our best to inform parent mentors and give them the resources and tools that they need to be able to support families well. And then consultation is another component. So myself and previously Dr. Kenyana Walker, we are both licensed school psychologists. And so that's the lens that we bring to this work and are happy to share our expertise from our training and our years working in that role with parent mentors and providing kind of an additional support because many of them work with licensed school psychologists, school counselors, intervention specialists, etc. So that is one thing that I do via calls, emails, things like that. Parent mentors reach out and we provide that additional consultation. Another aspect of that consultation piece, though, is we really see ourselves as a bridge to network local, state, and other relevant community organizations, sometimes national organizations, so that parent mentors are well supported. One thing I have always said, even though we bring a lot of expertise and a lot of resources as Ohio State, I would be absolutely remiss to think that we can cover everything and that we know everything and have all of the best resources. And so my vision has been to really be that bridge, right? There are whole organizations and agencies who are dedicated and passionate about very specific aspects of the education experience or of special education. And so our goal is to be that bridge, to bring them all together so that we are all working together in support of families and students in their education. Next slide, please. So what that looks like a little bit more practically as we really prepare parent mentors and district reps to do the work. So one of those buckets is onboarding and orientation. So when we get word that there's a new parent mentor or a new district rep that has joined us, we've developed an online module so that it serves as like an onboarding sort of orientation. So they get an overview of the parent mentor project, where we've come from, what are the components, what are their expectations and their specific role? What are some resources to get them started, etc. So everyone has access to those when they join us. And then we also do a live orientation at the beginning of the year just to make sure that our new folks, again, have that person touch. They get to ask us questions directly rather than just kind of completing the online module and moving on from there. So we try to be high touch, especially for our new ones that join us. Which leads me to then the mentorship program. So when we have new parent mentors, a part of that high touch, highly visible kind of thing that we do is to pair them with a mentor so that one of our older parent mentors who have been around, who have seen a lot of different aspects of the parent mentor role have the opportunity to then support our newer parent mentors in understanding just how to get started. Even though all of the projects tend to look different. There are some similarities, but there are some differences which we'll hear about a little later as well. But the mentor is really just someone to get them started on, if I don't know where to start, how do I build relationships? How do I get my name out about the fact that I have these services available for families? We do try to pair them within their SST so that they have someone that has, a little bit of experience with their area, their neighborhood, their district, or a neighboring SST. And then this year also, we've been providing mentors with brief training and a guiding protocol and quarterly meetings so that our mentors are actually well prepared to serve our new parent mentors and provide them with information, build a relationship with them so that they feel comfortable and prepared to do the work. Our professional development looks different. Each year, we really try to listen to what parent mentors are saying. We need this sort of information, or this mode of professional development really works well for us. So I'll share a variety of different things we've done in the past and continue to do. Online asynchronous modules is something that we do on various topics, working with subject matter experts to develop those. Live sessions on Zoom, very similar to this format we're using now. Podcast recordings was something very cool we got to do last year, having the subject matter experts into the studio to have conversations and increase dialogue around the topic in a more non-traditional professional development manner. The spring conference that we host every spring for all parent mentors and district representatives to really get some additional training on a variety of topics. And then, like I said previously, that ongoing consultation that we provide as well. And our website also serves as another resource bank in sort of a method of consultation as well with families who need support and need linking to parent mentors, but also for parent mentors. And then, like I said previously, this bridge building component that we have looks a variety of different ways. One of those, like Lindsay shared, was the community of practice meetings that we facilitate. So we bring all of our parent mentors from similar regions together to have conversations. What's working? What are the wins right now? What are some areas they may need some additional support? And so parent mentors get to really feed into one another and share resources and just build relationships. This year, we're doing Connect meetings in person, so we have the opportunity to engage in person on a monthly basis with a variety of different regions to, again, that in-person touch. Now that we, are making our way back to meeting in person, we have that opportunity as well to build relationships in a bit of a different way than the virtual setting. So we're enjoying those as well. And then networking events and informationals at the spring conference. Again, building bridges to make sure that we are all doing the best that we can to serve families. Okay, next slide. All right, turning it over to our amazing parent mentors.
Oh, good afternoon, and thank you, Dr. Johnson. First and foremost, you should know that each parent mentor is a parent of a child with a disability. We've already experienced the emotions and struggles that it is to understand when you're sitting in an ETR and an IEP meeting. For many of us, this is why we became parent mentors, to help others see that their journey through the world of special education is less overwhelming. As parent mentors, we are trained by the Ohio Department of Education, our friends at OSU, our districts, and multiple local and national resources. We support parents by talking with them before meetings, listening to their concerns, and helping them have a clearer understanding of what it is they want to accomplish or solve when the IEP team convenes. This helps parents to express their opinions more clearly when talking with staff and administrators. We provide information on available resources, including county boards of disability, local support groups, regional and state agencies, mental health providers, and many other organizations. The goal is to help families build partnerships with school staff, with community organizations, and with other families, because we know that it takes a village. Next slide, please.
This is an important piece. The definition of advocate is a person who represents another person's interests or wants. Parent mentors are not advocates. We do not go to battle for parents. The definition of a mentor is an experienced and trusted advisor. There is a significant difference between advocating and mentoring. We do not argue on behalf of a parent's beliefs or wants. We educate and empower parents so that they can make informed decisions about their child's education. Parent mentors guide families, share educational information, and suggest options. We model teamwork, respect staff, and differences of opinion. We build collaboration and strength within the team. We listen to all the ideas so that all the members of a child's educational team feel valued and heard. Next slide, please.
Building trust between families and staff is the key to a successful relationship. We can help rebuild broken relationships with honesty and empathy for all team members, parents, and staff members alike. We gain trust from parents by listening to their concerns, understanding their perspectives, and letting them vent as needed. We do the same for staff members. We work hard to take the emotions out of all of it from both sides and put the focus on the problem at hand along with possible solutions. The core of being a parent mentor is being able to listen, to care, to problem solve, and to be honest. There are times we have to have tough conversations with parents and with staff. Being compassionate and direct is always the best approach. Next slide, please. So parent mentor projects have a specific scope of work that they complete yearly. That scope of work is approved by the district representative and the Ohio Department of Education. District and Educational Service Center administration shape their respective projects by identifying staff, family, and student needs. This is what drives the scope of work. There are trainings, documentation materials, and educational opportunities provided to all mentors equally. The guidance and focus provided by the Ohio Department of Education are very important to our work. However, each project is supervised by the designated representative in the school district or educational service center that the parent mentor serves. We have parent mentors in urban, suburban, and rural areas of the state. Some parent mentors cover one school district, while others may cover 22 districts through an educational service center. As you can imagine, their needs can differ greatly. No two parent mentor projects are exactly the same. The needs may change from year to year, and so will the parent mentor's focus, but the goal of supporting parents and staff will always be there.
And as you can see on this slide, we've listed some of the projects that both Beth and I are going to be focusing on this year. Strongsville and Parma are both suburban districts outside of Cleveland, yet we have a very different scope of work this year. In Strongsville, I'll be focusing on preschool to kindergarten transition. I'm going to offer a parent training that will focus on each section of the IEP, work with new intervention specialists. I will be a member of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and I'm going to share information on Ohio's new dyslexia law. In Parma, Beth will be gathering and sharing information on mental health resources, holding parent education trainings on procedural safeguards and Ohio's dyslexia law. She'll be using the Charting Their Life course, which she took to help students prepare for life after high school. And she'll be creating a one-page sheet for ETRs and 504 plan information. Our districts may be close to each other, but our focuses are very different. They align with the needs of our individual districts. Next slide, please.
All right, I'm going to jump in here for a quick, just check in with the audience, I guess we'll say. And we want you to guess some stats of what our parent mentors do. So if we can click once, how many meetings do parent mentors attend each month? Take your best guess. Let us know what you think in the chat. How many meetings do parent mentors attend each month? I know we have a ton of parent mentors in the audience, so let's try to throw the folks off. Don't give them an exact answer. How many meetings do parent mentors attend each month? Okay, we've got 10, 30, okay, another 10, 15. Taking mental notes. 25, all right. Any other guesses? Somewhere between 10 and 30. Okay, and we'll click again. How many calls or emails are parent mentors engaged in with families each month? So how many times are their phones ringing off the hook, their email, inbox dinging all day? Thousands. 200, too many to count. Over 150 each month. Any other guesses? 100, okay, 200, okay. Click one more, and we've got how many families do parent mentors engage with for the first time on a monthly basis? So how many new families are reaching out to our parent mentors each month? 10, 15, 20, 5, okay, 25, okay. Something a little more spread than the first one. 10, 10. All right, Lindsay, we'll put them out of their misery. Let's tell them what the numbers are.
You know what? They didn't do too bad. Let's go to the next slide and see where you landed. All right, so this slide is about trying to give you an idea of the impact of parent mentors based on their reported data from the last half of the 22-23 school year. As you can see, we have 100 parent mentors who work across 280 school districts in Ohio. We have over 600 school districts altogether in Ohio. These numbers, the 100 parent mentors and the 280 districts, aren't identical because, like Beth, I think it was Beth mentioned, that some parent mentors work out of an educational service center and therefore they're supporting numerous districts. So when you look at the numbers of meetings that parent mentors attend, I'm realizing now that my numbers were all put together and you all were thinking individually. So we'll have to do a little like backwards math, but I was doing that on my calculator while you all were typing in the chat. And that's why I said you didn't do too bad, really. So if you think about 100 parent mentors and 934 meetings attended per month, you were pretty close. Many of you were pretty close on that. So what I would think about with that is think about those numbers and looking at the phone calls and emails too, which I think is a little low. After I saw all you putting in there like countless and thousands, it probably does feel that way. But so think about those numbers times the numbers of months in the school year. So what's on the slide is just per month, just an average. And of course, things ebb and flow. So think about that times the number of months in the school year, times multiple school years. We have someone like Teresa, who's been a parent mentor for how many years, Teresa? Lots?
22.
Yes. Yes.
I started when I was 10, however.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. Yeah. I didn't want to say it, but if you were willing.
That's a long time.
So, I mean, you start to get an idea of the impact that with families. And, you know, it's also important to note that not all of the families that parent mentors interact with need support in an ongoing way. In fact, many families simply need a connection to a resource or maybe someone just to help them understand what to expect at an upcoming meeting, and then they're okay to go it alone. The parent mentor is really there for the level of support needed by that family. So you can see in the last two lines that parent mentors interact with an average of 632 families per month who have children who are already eligible for special education. And then if you look at the last line that is over 1,000 families per month, that includes the interactions with families who do not currently have a child eligible for special education. So this might be families who have a student with a 504 plan, or maybe families that have a student who's somewhere in the evaluation process, or it might just be families who have concerns and they're just not sure where to go or who to talk to better understand what kind of process they might be stepping into. So again, if you're thinking in terms of impact here, this is over 1,000 families every month who are new to working with our parent mentors over the course of the school year and the multiple years. You know, again, we're touching a lot of families in Ohio, and I think that's really exciting. Now, for those of you who like to think about more of like the story behind the numbers and think about impact for the individual and family and student level, these next few slides are right for you. So let's go to the next slide. So these next 3 slides include a quote from 3 different parent mentors who were sharing a success they had during the 22-23 school year. And they did give me permission to share these. Unsurprisingly, they're all about outcomes for kids. And I know some people may not be in a place where you can read the screen, so I'm going to actually read the quote to you now. After a connections meeting, an information sharing and support group I facilitate within the district, a parent approached me to share that because of a connection she had made in an earlier meeting, her child had a true friend. This student is in high school and had never experienced a true reciprocal friendship. Her words to me included the phrase, "You may not see it, but you are changing lives here." So powerful. Let's look at the next one. Here's a quote I'll read now from a parent mentor that is about literacy. You may be able to tell that this parent mentor was very engaged in the professional development that has provided the last few years to parent mentors around literacy. Again, I'll read the quote. My most successful moment was working with a team to look beyond comprehension and found the 8th grade child had complex needs in vocabulary and morphology, which impacted reading comprehension. The child will now receive the needed services. All right, and we have one more slide. Next slide. Finally, one more quote from a parent mentor. And if you can see the screen, you'll see this is a bit long, so bear with me. But I think it really illustrates exactly how this parent mentor and their district connected the family with both school and community resources. So here's how it reads. I have been a part of a team who has worked together with the family and community to establish an educational pathway to best meet the needs of a student with autism. This student had been residentially placed when the mother moved to our school district. Once learning of the student and his complex educational, social, and independent needs, our district developed a multifaceted team, including multiple experts. We were able to reunite the child with his mother, as well as provide parenting supports. These supports included parenting training and education to empower mom to create a positive living environment for her child. We connected her with community agencies to provide wraparound service to enable her to receive supports beyond the school. We were then able to find an educational placement to meet his needs. So now that you've heard from 2 parent mentors and considered the impact this type of position has for families of students with disabilities, you might be thinking about how you can engage in something similar within your own educational context. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Johnson to share some specific ideas on how to do that.
Awesome. Next slide, please. I am dropping the link to a research brief that we did in 2022, actually, with the Family Engagement Center on partnering with families through special education. And strategy 7 really talks about this peer-to-peer support in the manner of what you're hearing the Parent Mentor Project is. That families and parents who've been through this process before are actually an excellent resource. There's evidence-based reasons for why that really seems to work, that when these parents who have gone through it before offer that peer support to others who are going through it for the first time, that it really makes a very unique and impactful difference. So again, that link is in the chat if you want to download that research brief and check it out. But here's some of the conclusions that we drew then from that literature review and from a lot of what you're hearing today. So create a school-based support group for families of children with disabilities. This may seem very minor, but if you think about it, in many of our traditional educational settings, we have parent groups or PTAs or things like that, but we may not necessarily have anything geared toward building relationships among families whose children have a disability or are going through the special education process. So those families are a lot of times trying to connect with other parents on their own or figure out, learn who's in their students' classes and try to connect with those families in indirect ways, whereas we as the school can really stand in the gap for that and already set something up to make sure that these parents are connected to one another and can have these conversations. So that's an easy way to break down a barrier to peer-to-peer support for these families. Another simple task would be providing a list of organizations that offer parent-to-parent support. So doing the background research for our families, as we've heard with this one, and if you were in our other session previously with parent mentors, there's tons of resources and organizations and research that these families are often feeling like they've got to do, immediately when they're going through the eligibility process, trying to get answers, trying to get resources. So if that's something we can do to take the load off, I think that's a very easy way to remove a barrier. So doing that background work of what organizations locally or website link addresses, things like that, that a parent may be able to get in contact with other parents who are going through a similar process, that already, again, takes down a barrier to their engagement. Another easy way that we saw in the literature is just, if you don't have something like a parent mentor project, there's an easy kind of alternative in the meantime is to identify a champion. So identifying a parent of a child with disabilities that has a long-standing and positive relationship with the school already. So someone who is experienced, their student has been there for a while, they have a positive relationship with the school, and asking them if they're just willing to be sort of a mentor in the process, or if there are families that come to you and say, is there another parent I can talk to, or just ask questions to, allowing that person to be a champion and kind of fill in the gap for those families. And then lastly, considering creating a funding or funding a part-time parent mentor position. And like Lindsay said, that opportunity is available, although we have this wait list, and I know she's probably going to say more about that. It is still an opportunity. This project is constantly growing. Like I said, we had to really build in that onboarding and orientation process because we have new parent mentors joining and new grants being received and new districts being served. So it definitely is an incredible opportunity for those who are in Ohio. If you're outside of Ohio, hopefully you can grab onto those other three that I shared that are easy to do. But also, if you have the funding to fund a role that's sort of like a parent mentor based on the information you heard today, and even more information in that research brief. And I believe I'm turning it back to Lindsay.
I think you're doing this part, Dr. Johnson.
I am.
Okay. I can if you need me to, but I thought it was you. Okay, go ahead.
No. So at this time, we actually have a jam board where we would like you all to just share what you've heard today and what are some next steps that you can take to apply some of this. I know we were in the barely and what was the other one? Sometimes kind of range. But we want to hear if this is something that you want to apply where you are. What can you do based on what you've heard today? So there's instructions there if you haven't used a Jamboard yet of how to add sticky notes to the board. But based on what you've heard today about the effectiveness of peer-to-peer supports, what are some next steps that you hope to take following this session? Also, feel free to add it in the chat if you can't make your way over to the Jamboard. Yes, that's a good point, Anis. If you don't mind, we can switch to me sharing the screen so that we can watch them as they come up. I will add the link. Hopefully that should work for you.
I stopped the share so you can.
Okay. Does everyone see this?
Yes.
Perfect.
I wonder if while we're waiting for people, giving people a little bit of think time about how they might, the next steps they might take in their context, if either Teresa or Beth would be willing to talk about how they got started as a parent mentor within their district.
Yeah, I could start, Teresa.
Go ahead.
So several years back, I'm in my 8th year as the parent mentor for Parma schools, and several years back, before those 8 years, I was involved in I believe it was like a family leadership
Council.
family leadership council network through our SST. And that was when I met the parent mentor who worked in Parma previous to me, and we developed a relationship, and it just was something that I became passionate about, even more so aside from having, a son with a disability. It was it's very rewarding to kind of learn how things work in the world of special education. It's constantly changing, but it's very interesting, and it's very rewarding to work with families and help them craft solutions that work for their individual families. It's just very rewarding work. And I can't say enough about the support that we get from the Department of Education and from Ohio State. They provide us with excellent resources, excellent professional development, so we're able to help our families.
I started, my daughter was in the special needs preschool here in Strongsville. She was diagnosed with autism, and just like now with short sub list, they were short of staff. So I volunteered and would go in and work with the kids. My daughter was 3 at the time, and worked with the kids and did so for a couple years. And the person that was the parent mentor before me was retiring, and the district came to me and said, would you be interested in doing this? And I didn't know much about it, to be honest. And I remember during my interview, they said, well, what do you think a parent mentor does? And I gave the really bright answer of mentors parents, because I was not sure all that was involved with it. So I was hired, I took it on, and every year since then, I have learned as much from professionals as I have from families. Families have good ideas, good caring, and every year's different. And in 22 years, I have never been bored. I can tell you that. It's a great opportunity and a great job.
Thank you. That's awesome.
We also had in the chat, I'll read out from Linda Klump, in Region 14, we have a Parent Advisory Council, which consists of 2 parents of children with disabilities that serve in the council from each of our 16 school districts. We meet about once a month. Our group is so positive and fabulous. That sounds incredible. Any opportunities to connect these parents and families who have this shared experience really makes a difference. I'll read out what's up here: reaching out to introduce and connect with our families by 2 methods: the newsletter, okay, via email, or snail with no technology, and possible quick video chat to give some, I think, encouragement is probably where that was going. That sounds really cool. And yeah, the identifying a champion idea is such a good way. In the meantime, if you're waiting for funding or looking for adding a more formal position, just identifying a champion who's willing to stand in the gap for families. Oh, Andrea, I don't think I can access the sticky note. Okay, sorry about that. If you want to drop the response you wanted to in the chat, we'll read it out. I love to hear that someone's ready to work with their school to see how they could add some supports related to what you've heard today.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of informal things you can do that don't cost a lot of money. I feel since I work with this program, I get emails pretty regularly from parents who really, they're like, I'd love to give back. I've been through this process and I've learned there's some experiences and just wanting to help other parents who are at the beginning or maybe going through a tough time. So if you are a parent, I would reach out to the district that you work with and, not that you're asking them for a job per se, but you're just saying, I would love to, talk about how we might have some kind of parent to parent support group or opportunity to meet. Some of our districts with parent mentors will often host informational events, but they'll have members of the district there as well, just to informally interact with parents. And, it's always a good thing from a relationship perspective that then when you're coming into a more formal setting, like an IEP meeting, like, well, I've already had a conversation over coffee with this person. So they're a real person, and it's maybe a little less intimidating to get started with that.
Lindsay, I was going to add too, even as simple as when my daughter was younger and before I was a parent mentor, meeting a couple of other parents from your kid's class or from the school and just going out for coffee in the morning or going out for dinner in the evening, something that just brings you together. And it feels good to compare notes and hear some other people's frustrations and how they solved it. You give each other the support you need. So just something as simple as saying we're going to meet at Panera's at 10 o'clock and coffee, everybody's welcome. You don't have to have an agenda. Just really being able to communicate and talk back and forth is also a good way to get parents involved.
I love that. Dr. Johnson, do you want to say anything more about the reference that just popped up?
Sure. Yep. I dropped the link previously. This is what the front cover of the research brief looks like. I don't think you'll have to scroll far the link that I dropped in the chat. But then also, we've referenced the Parent Mentor website a few times. That houses the directory of all the parent mentors that Lindsay showed in the beginning. All of that can be found there, as well as our Twitter, which I know their logo is actually not the little bird anymore, but in the meantime, that is our Twitter account as well, Parent Mentors Ohio, where, we feature what parent mentors are doing and resources that really support this effort and this work. So if you're interested in adopting these strategies, want to learn more, I would definitely start at those resources. All right, Lindsay, I think it's back to you maybe to wrap us up for today.
Yes. Thank you. I was thinking we were about ready for that slide. So if you're like me, you may think of questions later once you've had a chance to sort of think about things. So we wanted to make sure you had our contact information and encourage you to please reach out if you have any questions or if you'd like to connect around this type of work. We're really grateful that you came to our presentation today. We hope that you've left with some ideas and hopefully some inspiration from Teresa and from Beth for parent-to-parent support in your school community. We'd love to connect with you. We do have a few minutes left if anyone has any questions or connections that may have come up. I know we do have a few other parent mentors in the room. If you all have any thoughts or suggestions, we're happy to hear those. I'll pause for a minute in case anyone has anything that they would like to share or pop in chat.
It may be hard to come up with a question on a Friday going on 3.
Solid point. Solid point. Okay. Well, with that being said, thank you so much for your time and your engagement today. Have a wonderful afternoon. And since it's Friday afternoon, have a wonderful weekend.
Take care.
I would like to add, thank you guys for presenting today and sharing your time. Please, participants, let's give us a round of applause virtually, typing it in. This is actually our final session, so I will send the link again for the summit survey. Remember that the conversation is going on through Twitter using the hashtag OHSummit23, and please visit our engagement summit page, and there we'll have the videos and the PowerPoint slides. So thank you very much for joining in today.